Imagine waking up and living near charming coastal towns, crystal clear waters, and white sandy beaches. But what if I told you that living in 30A wasn't all that it seems? Hi, my name is Andrew, and my team and I have had the privilege of helping over 1,100 people to date move to their dream here on the Emerald Coast. And today I'm going to be telling you the truth about living on 30A Florida, the good, the bad, and some of the hidden gems that you won't find anywhere else. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly if 30A is the perfect place for you and your family, or if you should be looking at some other place here on the Emerald Coast. Picture this. A young couple reached out to us last year, and they were looking at moving away from the big city and the day-to-day grind and wanting to move into a little bit of a slower pace and, of course, be near these amazing beaches. They wanted to spend their days biking to dinner and walking their dog along the coast every single morning. They heard about 30A, and in fact, they'd even visited 30A multiple times on vacation to sort of get away from everything. And they called to ask, is the price tag worth it, and would they even enjoy living here full time? After months of research and watching this channel and our sister channel, Life in Navarre with AJ, they decided to reach out for a buyer consultation to kind of hammer out some details and figure out if this was the best place for them. What we uncovered were 5 things that were absolutely necessary to them and 3 things that might be deal breakers for a lot of buyers. Let's start with the 5 reasons why 30A might be perfect for you and follow that up with the 3 things that I think might be deal breakers for a lot of people. One of the biggest draws to 30A is the lifestyle because it's completely different than anywhere else here on the Emerald Coast. First and foremost, I think the thing that makes it the most unique is all of the master plan communities. So when they were building 30A, this wasn't just, hey, I'm going to buy up this plot of land and sort of do some stuff, and another developer is going to buy up this plot and things like that. They actually created master plan developments that have an overall encompassing feel and vibe to it. Very similar to, like, if you've ever gone on a cruise ship, you know the vibe makes the cruise ship, right? Very similar here on 30A, which is part of the reason why we tell you whenever you feel like you've done all of the research that you need to do, reach out to us so that we can help you with sort of that vibe feeling, because it's not something you can always get, and it's not something you will always see when you're here on vacation either. Every neighborhood here on 30A has its own architectural style and feel to it, like Seaside, Rosemary Beach, Grayton Beach, Watercolor, Alice Beach. They're all completely different, and they all have their own personality. Most of the locals here on 30A rely on 3 main modes of transportation: walking, biking, and golf carts, depending on which community you're in, because golf carts are not legal in all of the communities. But it is very common to see people out there walking, riding their bike, going to dinner on said bike or on their feet so that they don't have to jump in their vehicle and drive everywhere. Sure, we've got Scenic 98 running right through all of 30A, but at the end of the day, most of the locals are going to be walking or biking. So it's a very active lifestyle because, well, the weather here is pretty good year round. And all of this is with good reason because, well, there's only so much beach. So when you're trying to, let's say, go to a beach, and there's only 30 parking spots for the entire area, and there's not another beach access point for another 100 yards, parking gets limited. So taking your golf cart up there or walking or even biking makes it a lot more enjoyable, and you don't have to fight for a spot or cross your fingers hoping that you'll be able to find something, especially during peak tourist season, which I'll talk about here in a moment. Another great thing that 30A does really well is year-round festivals and events. So there's always something to do that is outside of the norm. I mean, 30A's got a lot, and we're going to talk about some of that in this video. But on top of that, they're constantly adding festivals and different events so that you can really enjoy the area and it never, ever gets dull. I've lived here since 2005, and I'm telling you, it never gets boring out there. You've got festivals like the 30A Songwriters Festival or the Seaside Farmers Market, where you can get lots of great foods and jewelry and just random things that you would find at a farmer's market in general. But Seaside does it the best. And the Songwriters Festival is pretty fun too, especially if you're into live music and listening to local artists. My personal favorite thing about 30A in general, if I were to personally just add something to it, would be the tight-knit community. When you move to 30A or live in 30A or heck, even visit 30A, for those of you that have visited 30A, you can comment down below and back me up on this, but you feel like part of the neighborhood, part of the community almost instantly. Oh, and going back to that couple from Texas that I was talking about before, they ended up moving to Watercolor, which is One of my favorites for the aesthetics, because all of the buildings are watercolor colors and they've got some great art and things like that. They ended up moving to watercolor and they're absolutely loving it. As soon as they moved in, they were invited to a beach bonfire, which is probably not what you think. It's not like we're actually throwing a bunch of logs in the sand and burning it. They put them in these big metal containers. They showed me some pictures and stuff. I've never even been to one. I've been here, I don't know, almost 20 years. And they said it was absolutely awesome. There's a bunch of chairs all around it, and just everybody was talking with them and talking to their neighbors and getting to know each other. And they said in literally 2 weeks after purchasing their home, they felt like they were right at home. The second reason you might really love 30A is the beaches and the outdoor lifestyle. So if you're somebody that likes to be outdoors, then 30A is a fantastic spot for you. First and foremost, we have world-class beaches. Powder white sand that stays cool year-round, even when the sun is beaming down on it, because it is crushed white quartz, so it stays cool. Then, of course, that crystal blue water or green water, emerald water, whatever you want to call it, it kind of changes depending on the temperature and the tides, but it always provides something gorgeous. Not to mention, we're one of the very few places in the entire world that has coastal dune lakes. That's right, it's a pretty rare situation. Coastal dune lakes are scattered all throughout 30A. These are perfect for kayaking, stand-up paddle boarding, and things like that. Then, of course, if you're into hiking and camping and just overall wildlife viewing, we've got multiple options for you. We have Grayton Beach State Park, Topsail Hill Reserve, and, of course, Point Washington State Forest. And you can do all of those things, hiking, just overall getting out in nature, and, of course, camping at all three. And who could do a video on the Emerald Coast without talking about the amazing fishing we have out here? I heard somewhere, and I've never actually looked this up to confirm that it is true, but I heard that we have the second largest fleet in the entire country for fishing. So, of course, that's going to be a natural part of our ecosystem and the things that you might want to do out here. In fact, you can get into deep water fishing just about a mile offshore, so it's super quick to get to, which is why this is such a big area to bring that stuff in, and why you're going to see some of those fish whenever they're going out getting brought straight to the restaurant. So you're getting as fresh a fish as you could possibly get, short of catching it yourself and cooking it on the boat on your way back. So whether you're looking to do a deep sea charter or you're looking to just rent a boat for the day and go out and do it yourself, you've got both of those options here on 30A. Now, you are going to have to drive a little bit to go out into Destin to actually charter the boat, but at the end of the day, we've got a lot of options for that out here on 30A. Here's the bottom line. If you're looking for a slower outdoor lifestyle, then 30A is hard to beat, but it's not the only reason. We've still got 3 more to go, and those 3 cons that might be complete deal breakers for you. The third reason you're going to love 30A is for the school and the family-friendly atmosphere. Of course you want to live in paradise, who doesn't? But we want to make sure that our kids are able to grow up and get all the same opportunities that maybe we had, or better opportunities than we had. Well, 30A is one of the best places to raise a family in. So let's start with these schools, because that is extremely important if you're raising school-age children. So let's talk about some of the public schools first. South Walton High School, for instance, is consistently rated as one of the top schools in Florida, whereas Van R. Butler Elementary, as well as Emerald Coast Middle School, consistently receive very high ranks for academics. Of course, there's also a big homeschool community here, so if you like to keep your kids close at home and raise them yourself because maybe you don't trust the school system or you just want your own personal touch, absolutely nothing wrong with that. We've got a lot of benefit for homeschoolers out here, and a lot of programs, extracurriculars, and field trips and things that they can go on that kind of partner with your homeschooling options. And on top of great schools, we've also got very safe, walkable neighborhoods, so your children in a lot of cases can walk or bike to school, and the crime rates are some of the lowest in all of Florida. And I touched on events earlier, but 30A has a lot of family-friendly events as well. So they're constantly keeping things in front of you so that your kids don't stare at the iPad all weekend. You can actually go take them out and do something fun pretty regularly. We're talking festivals, farmers markets that I kind of mentioned before, but just overall events. And each of the cities along 30A, or I would call them towns, really. Each of the towns along 30A have their own special little thing or their own special events. So you can actually go from one town to another and still enjoy the events and then head on right back home. In fact, one of our clients from California moved down here specifically for the schools and the walkable neighborhoods, and they say they absolutely love it and don't have a single regret. Now, if those last three reasons weren't good enough for you, let's talk about the dining and the shopping scene, as well as a few of our hidden gems. 30A isn't just some beautiful place to live, it's also one of the best places for dining and boutique shops in the entire Emerald Coast. I'm going to talk about some of the kind of hidden gems, maybe not so hidden if you have visited here before, but if you have not visited here before, take heed on these things. And when you do come visit for home shopping or just to see if this is the right spot for you, check some of these places out. You can save the video down below if this is important to you. So let's start with some of the award-winning restaurants. And I'm going to have to start with my personal favorite, the Red Bar. The Red Bar is located in Grayton Beach. It has been a staple as long as I can remember. It's been here since day one of me being here, not day one of 30A in general. And it is one of my favorite spots on 30A to go to. In fact, if I'm only going to one spot, it's probably the Red Bar. It might be Shunk Gully, which I'm not going to talk about in detail in this one because we've talked about this on multiple past videos. But the Red Bar is probably the one that I'm going to choose. The Red Bar is all about like sort of a laid back lifestyle. They generally have live music in there with like couches around where the live music is being had. So you can sit there if you're just enjoying a cocktail. I mean, I guess you could eat on the couches too. It just seems a little bit odd, but you can go there, sit there, enjoy a cocktail. The entire inside is, you guessed it, lit with red lights. If that bugs you, you don't like that vibe, you can also go outside. They've got some great outside seating. You can enjoy the cool summer air while you're enjoying your food. If you're looking for dinner plans on a Friday or a Saturday, and this is dinner only, check out Red Bar's crab cake dinner. It comes with 2 crab cakes. They don't overload it with too much breading. They put this like lemon butter caper sauce on top of it. It comes with mashed potatoes, salad, and a roll, and it is absolutely delicious. In fact, it's one of only 2 places I will eat crab cakes at because I'm not really a crab cake person, but theirs are that good. If you catch yourself in Seaside, you do not want to miss the Great Southern Cafe. Great Southern Cafe is a Southern style food with kind of a new age twist on it. Now, in all fairness, I've only been to this one a couple of times, but one of the times I got this sandwich called the Carson. It is a fried chicken sandwich that they fry in some sort of like sweet tea situation. I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't taste like sweet tea, but it is very, very delicious. Comes with like caramelized jalapenos, caramelized bacon, and like a Creole mayo or something. It's so good. And lastly, for our list of great eats is Pescado in Rosemary Beach. Pescado it's gorgeous. It is a rooftop dining experience. The food is absolutely amazing, but the views are absolutely impeccable. You're looking out over all of the beautiful architecture over there in Rosemary Beach. You've also got a beautiful view of obviously the water, but it just feels so surreal when you're up there eating. And of course, with great food to boot, this is an outstanding place to visit. If you happen to be looking for a good brunch spot, now their dinner is amazing too, but their brunch in particular is pretty good. Their fried green tomatoes, and then they have a lobster grilled cheese that comes with a tomato bisque that is just to die for. All right, but maybe you're not into food and you're more into the like art galleries and the boutique shops. Let's talk about a couple of those. Now, when we're talking about boutique shops, there's all sorts of kinds all over 38, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Alice Beach and their high-end shopping that they've got there. They've got stores like Crewe, Krewe, which is they sell handmade eyewear, essentially sunglasses, prescription glasses and things like that. Or of course, for you ladies that are out shopping, looking for something beachy attire that you can't really find anywhere else, check out Parasol. Now, if you're looking for kind of funky, eclectic art galleries, then Grayton Beach is exactly where you need to be. You can find something new, interesting, off the wall from local artists, everything from watercolor paintings to handmade jewelry, like beach jewelry, to just about anything artsy in general that you want to find right here in Grayton Beach. There's probably about 7 or 8 that I'm aware of, probably even more than that in Grayton Beach alone. But 2 of my personal favorites are Modus Art Gallery as well as the Studio Gallery. In fact, we've got some of the artwork from one of those right here in my office, just because when I saw it, I had to have it. And that's sort of a rule of mine. If you see art and you have to have it, cool. If you don't have to have it, I don't even bother with it. Let me tell you my favorite thing about the dining and shopping scene along 30A. And this is something that I don't think we've talked about on this channel, and we probably need to more. There's no big box chains allowed. None. That's why it's so overfilled with boutique shops. I say overfilled. It's not like cluttered with it. There's just a lot of options because you're not going to see any of the big box chains here. Now, this is a pro and a con because on one hand, awesome. Lots and lots of unique things constantly changing. And when you go to a boutique shop, it changes inside. It's not like Walmart where it's the same thing in every Walmart. It changes constantly. So it's always something new. But there is a little bit of a con. If you're looking for a traditional grocery store or you want to go make a run out to Chipotle or something like that, you are going to have to leave the 30A area in order to get to any of those places. Now let's talk about the fifth reason why you may love 30A. This also might be a reason why you dislike 30A, and that's the real estate. Now, this is a real estate channel, so I do have to mention real estate because it's going to be the biggest expense of somebody moving down here. As I'm going through all of these, if you guys have any questions, all of my information will pop up on the screen. You can call, text, email, however you'd like to get a hold of us, but let's get into it. For purposes of this video, we're going to break out 30A into 30A East and 30A West, which hopefully that's right for you guys, because for me, that's backwards. Now, the west side is typically a little bit more affordable, whereas the east side is a little bit more expensive. So let's go ahead and look at some numbers. Now, I am going to compare condos and townhomes. I'm not really talking about townhomes, although those are a great option. Just note that if a townhome is an option for you, it's going to fall somewhere in between these two numbers that I'm about to discuss. Now, when we're talking about the average prices for the area, when we're talking about the west side of 30A, we've got an average price point in 2024 of about $1 million. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart. This is a luxury price point, and with good reason because you're paying for the area. So let's break down some of the numbers, starting with condos. So if condo life is okay for you, you're okay being near other people and having, living in a condo, then you're going to start at around $400,000. In fact, when I did an active search of properties like on the market as of today, the lowest priced one-bedroom condo was actually $360,000. And of course, there's going to be a wide range of condos. There was over, I think, 180, 200 options. And it scales from that $400K price point all the way up to about $4.7 million for a 3-bed, 3-bath penthouse overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. Single-family homes, however, are going to start a little bit higher with a 3-bed, 2-bath starting at about $650,000, and this is going to be a little bit further away from the beach. You're likely not going to get the full experience because it's going to be difficult to walk and bike everywhere, but definitely doable. And single-family homes on the west side are going to scale from that $650,000 price point all the way up to actively on the market right now an $18.7 million monstrosity 7,000 square foot, 8-bed, 9-bathroom home. Now let's go ahead and take a ride over into 30A East, where the average price point in 2024 was hovering at about $1.5 million. Now, when I say hovering about, I mean every month is a little bit different. You had some dip down to 1.3, other months go up to 1.6. It all just kind of depended on what sold in that area for that month. As you can see, the east side is a little bit pricier, but let's actually go into the condos versus townhomes to kind of give you an idea of what that would look like. Very similar to the west side, you're going to see 1-bedrooms and studio condos hovering at about that $350,000 range to start. And this is going to range all the way up to about $10 million for a 5-bed, 6-bathroom home with about 4,500 square feet. I'm sorry, condo, not home. And this will range all the way into $10 million for a 5-bed, 6-bath condo at about 4,500 square feet. Of course, you're going to get some pretty amazing views for that price point. And let's move to single-family homes, where it's going to start very similar as it did on the west side at about $620,000 for a house that's a little bit off the beaten path. And this is going to scale up to a massive $26 million. And again, this is just active properties that I looked at right before I started this video. There's about 50 or 60 properties that are above $5 million on the east side. So as you can see, there is a clear difference between the west and the east side being a little bit more expensive, the west side being a little bit more affordable. Now, for those of you looking for new construction, we do have some options, although it's not super prevalent out there. So if you're looking at like Watersound or Dune Allen, there are some developments going up there, so you can definitely find new construction if that's important to you. At the end of the day, 30A is a lot more expensive than every other area here along the Emerald Coast, but there's one distinct advantage here. It holds value better than every other area. In fact, it holds value better than most areas of the entire country. And with good reason, with the beautiful views that you can find and the great communities and the overall feel of the area, it's no wonder that they hold their value very well. Now, 30A is absolutely incredible, but it's not perfect. So let's talk about the 3 biggest downsides that I see that will affect most people that are thinking about moving down here. Number 1 on this list is traffic and crowds. 30A can get absolutely packed during the summer, particularly from June to August, which is our heaviest tourist season. So this makes things like getting to these great restaurants, those hidden gems I was talking about, going through the boutique stores, just overall walking around, biking around, and getting to the beaches, it makes them all a little bit more crowded. In fact, getting to the beaches during the summer months, if you're trying to drive and find a spot to park, it's almost impossible. Us locals, we don't even bother going out there. We'll go to one of the beaches in one of the other cities because the infrastructure is not there so that everybody can get to the beach. Although they do have some great beach access points that have a lot of parking, they generally get filled up pretty quick because a lot of people will come down and visit 30A and then leave for the day. They're not actually staying there, so it starts to get a little bit crowded. Now, the cool thing with this is the beaches themselves are not overly crowded. I remember going to the beaches at Huntington Beach and just seeing just droves of people, and it didn't stop. This is absolutely nothing like that. But for parking, it is a little bit crowded. And part of that is because the main road, Scenic Highway 30A, is only 1 lane on each side. So it tends to get a little bit busy. And on top of that, because there's so many people out there biking and walking and driving golf carts, the speed limit is typically anywhere from 15 miles an hour to about 35 miles an hour. Some areas going a little bit higher than that, but these are not highway speeds because you literally have people walking and biking right next to you. So here's a quick little local tip. If you want to avoid the tourists, avoid going out there on the weekends and during the months of June to August, because anytime in June through August, even during the week, you're going to have a higher amount of people. Cool thing is for us locals is outside of those months, hey, we get the whole area to ourselves, and that feels pretty cool. The second biggest con to living on 30A will be the high cost of living. We already went over the real estate prices on the west and east side, and you can see that homes are significantly more expensive. And they're much more expensive compared to the neighboring cities like Destin or Freeport. So if you want to be near 30A, those 2 are great options, particularly Freeport, which is up and coming. If you guys want to see a video on that, we'll throw one up here on the card so you can see what Freeport's all about. You'll be about 30 to 45 minutes away from the white sandy beaches on 30A, but it is extremely affordable for what you're getting. But that's not the only cost of living thing we need to talk about. Gas is a little bit more expensive. Getting somebody to maintain your lawn, going out to eat, groceries, all of these things are more expensive on 30A. In fact, just getting handymen out and plumbers and electricians, they all fall under this weird thing that we have here called the zip code tax. And what that means is you live in an affluent area, people are going to know that, they're going to charge you more for the same services. Now, I'm not a big fan of that, but I do know that this happens all over the country, so it's not that much different than being anywhere else. And the third biggest con that will hurt a lot of people is the job opportunities out here. If you're not in the hospitality, tourism, or real estate industries, you're probably not going to have a lot of job opportunities in general. Or of course, if you work from home or own your own business, this isn't going to be a problem at all. So let's go ahead and sum this up in just a couple of short sentences. 30A is perfect for you if you love tight-knit, smaller communities, if you want a walkable, outdoorsy lifestyle, and of course, if you can afford the premium real estate and the higher costs. 30A is not for you if you hate tourism and crowds in general. If you need affordable housing, head up to Freeport. And if you want easy access to big city amenities, you're going to have to drive for that if you're out here on 30A. If you're thinking about moving to 30A or anywhere on the Emerald Coast, my team and I would love to help. You can call, text, or email us today, and we can actually give you a list of off-market properties you cannot find anywhere online. Just reach out and we'll send it over. I'll see you guys next week.